Well, my power's out due to an outage, and I got two separate ideas, but one's a little bit more, silly. And I don't know if I should do that one just at all, honestly. Kind of more of those, like, 3 a.m. random talks that you have with one of your friends that probably shouldn't be an actual video to just talk with people on the internet. But I will fully admit that that's the case with that idea. This one, though, it was recently the death anniversary of Kevin Conroy. And so, I'm making a video myself addressing who I think should be on the Batman Mount Rushmore. Because there's been a couple videos that I've seen, and quite frankly, most of them say roughly the same thing, and I can pretty much agree with that. But let's talk. First, Adam West. No question. Absolutely zero question. Adam West is personally my favorite Batman. I was devastated when he died. My girlfriend at the time, it was around the same time that Stan Lee actually passed. And her and I were both kind of devastated in the same way, to be frank. It was a rough time for comic and superhero nerds. But Adam West played, if you don't know, one of the first major successful versions of Batman. He would later, of course, go on to do basically whatever the fuck he wanted after his success of being Batman. But they had guest appearances and shit in the series. They started, I believe, with the movie. And it's so silly, it's so colorful, it's so cartoony, it's so campy that it's a comic book brought to life. And I get that some people like their Batman to be dark and gritty and grim and all that shit. And that's fair. That's respectable. That's a side of the character that shouldn't be ignored. But I like the silliness part of comics. I like having a character that's serious and this and that, and can still get slapped in the face with a pie. You know? Like, and that's dumb as fuck, but it's true. And vice versa. Like, for the exact same example, the Joker, right? Clown, Prince of Crime. I mean, who doesn't love watching the Joker get his ass beat by Batman every time that it happens? If you don't enjoy that, I don't know why you're, like, a fan of Batman. Anyway, I first one gotta be Adam West. Second one has actually gotta be Michael Keaton. Because like I said, that darker tone, that gothic version, it's excellent. And for me personally, actually, while I don't really like all of the direction that was done in the Burton version of Batman, that version actually has my favorite Joker. I love Jack Nicholson's Joker. His version of the Joker is superb, in my opinion. But his version of Batman is conversely perfect to match the energy. Like, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. And he changed the view of Batman for the time, because while I like the campiness and silliness and everything like that, that was kind of what was done in that, like, almost 20 years, I think it is, between the movie and show of the 60s run to the Michael Keaton Batman. So, to be able to go in and change it up, and to change it up successfully, to change a whole fucking perception of a character successfully, to have minimal backlash, at least, you know, outside looking in, where here, wow, almost 50 years later, looking at that, and they did good. Third has to be Kevin Conroy, obviously. He is definitively Batman. Animation, video games, he's played him in live action, even if it was a bad portrayal. Like, there's no world where Kevin Conroy isn't Batman. Even if my preferred Batman is Adam West, even if to me Adam West is Batman because of every version, every detail that I like about that version being the version, Kevin Conroy is fucking Batman. Straight up. I can't deny that. Same way that if you talk about the Joker, most people hear Mark Hamill's version. And there's no fault in that. There's no real question there. Like I said, I prefer a different version. But if that's what you think of when you hear this character, when you think of this character, of course you do. They've made such a big impact as those characters that it'd be dumb not to, almost. And the last one, in my opinion, the follow-up, the finale of this Mount Rushmore of Batman, my pick has actually got to be Robert Pattinson. I like his new portrayal. I like the bringing it back to noir, the more detective sort of side of Batman. I don't know if they're going to keep it up. I don't know if we're going to get more of him. And I don't know if that'll be a good or bad thing. And frankly, if we don't get more of him and they change it up and we get somebody else to fill out the James Gunn sort of DCU and everything like that, then, you know, I'll be eating my words, and that's fine. I just hope that the Batman that we get is good. That's all I really care about. Same way with any of these characters that we've gotten. I don't really necessarily care who plays them as long as they play them well, right? Like, characters are a certain way. If you match the character and the actor who plays them well, you're good. That's what acting is. I like acting. I've done acting. And it may not seem that way to a YouTube video, to me just talking to a camera. I may not be able to convey that a whole lot. But it's sometimes difficult to do. And sometimes it's easy to do. Because sometimes you manage to find an actor who so completely embodies a character that it's a no-brainer to get him. But yeah, without rambling too much more, that's my Batman Mount Rushmore. Adam West, Michael Keaton, Kevin Conroy, and Robert Pattinson. Everybody else, you know, I looked at it, and there are some really good ones on there. There are some that really gave her hell. But, like, let's look at one of the more popular ones, right? I did not actually really dig the Dark Knight trilogy. I really liked The Dark Knight Rises. Most people are going to say that they liked The Dark Knight because of the Joker and Heath Ledger. And that's fine. Personally, I didn't really mess with that. Batman Begins was okay, but that's because I personally really liked the whole, I liked actually seeing the ninja training and stuff like that. I didn't really like the way that they did the year one stuff, because they kind of skipped the clumsiness of what was Batman's year one. They touched on it. I mean, I'll be frank, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but the way that I remember it, they kind of skipped over the clumsiness of the year one stuff. They were like, yep, here you go, here's your Batman training, go to fucking ninja school, train with the League of Assassins. And he does. And then he comes back, and then he kind of talks to Lucius Fox, and he's like, cool, let me redesign some of this military tech. Boom, I'm Batman now. And, like, don't get me wrong, the Nolan trilogy, the Dark Knight trilogy, the movies themselves were shot really well. The movies were written pretty good. But, I don't know, I didn't really like them as much as I wanted to. I didn't like The Dark Knight, not as much as seemingly everybody else on the internet. But I did like The Dark Knight Rises a lot more than seemingly most people on the internet. Don't get me wrong, the portrayal of Bane was odd, but in a portrayal where they tried to make everything a whole lot more realistic, it was interesting to have a character who is known for this super steroid use, this like crazy chemical that pushes you more than past your limits, more than past everything that anybody is even remotely capable of. But being able to do that with a character and saying that, you know, at least a portion of his strength is basically based off of trauma and shit like that is wild. And it was cool. I didn't like how it ended. Honestly, part of the reason why I didn't really necessarily like the trilogy was because they almost wrapped it up too nicely, you know? It's weird. It's hard to say that way, but it's like Batman villains are meant to be put in prison, with the exception of a few, I guess, to let the story be open enough to continue with the next version, to leave open for sequels to, you know, whatever. But that's my rambling. That's my justification. That's my 2 cents. And that's my thoughts on having a Batman Mount Rushmore. So, if you made it all the way here, go ahead and put yours in the comments. Or make a video yourself. Do whatever you want. Thanks. See ya.